in the previous session, I just want to open the document. I have given some of the diagrams. Okay, I have given what? Some of the diagrams. And in these diagrams, I just explained about initially how we started developing applications and what are the frameworks that slowly got introduced. And then we have discussed about, okay, how does the Spring framework occupied the entire application development? Okay, and then nowadays how we are developing the applications and what is the new layer got introduced. So these are all the things that I told in the previous session with the help of the diagrams. Am I right? Coming to today's session, I told already before we start with the Spring Boot with microservices, first of all, everybody should know about one of the Spring important module called Spring Core module. So what we are going to start from today is, first we are going to start with the Spring Core module. Okay. And in the Spring Core module, we are first going to talk about something called as what is loose coupling between objects and what is dependency injection. So this is a very important point that you need to understand about who is called a dependent class, who is called a dependency class, what is the dependency injection, what is dependency lookup, okay, and also what is constructor injection, what is a setter injection, and further you are going to see what is interface injection, okay, and how to write the Spring configuration file, who is called the Spring container. So these are all you are going to learn in the Spring Core module. Okay, and then followed by applications. Then we are also going to discuss about annotations. So once after getting all this knowledge, then we are going to enter into Spring Boot with microservices. These are all the prerequisite concepts that you must know first. Okay. So for that, what we are going to start from today is actually Spring Core module. Spring Core module is base module. First, after completing the Spring Core module, then I am going to start with the Spring Boot. Because directly, if I start the Spring Boot, then you cannot understand the Spring Boot. First, what you need to learn, you need to learn the Spring Core module. And this is a module which everybody must know, whoever wants to enter into the Spring Framework application development with Spring Boot and microservices. It is mandatory. It is compulsory that everybody must know about this module. So now we are going to start with that module. And even in this module, today first we are going to understand about what is called a dependent class and what is called a dependency class. Okay, we are going to see with examples like who is called a dependent class and who is called dependency class. And what is the meaning of dependency lookup and what is the meaning of dependency injection. And what is the difference between dependency lookup and dependency injection. So this word called dependency, we are going to use many times. This word dependency, we are going to use many times. We are going to use this word in the Spring framework called dependency. So now we are going to understand today about this. So today's session is going to be a very important session for this entire course. Today's session is the very important session for the entire this Spring Boot microservices course. Okay, so we will start with the Spring Core module. Okay, so in this Spring Core module, okay, in this Spring Core module, first we are going to understand about when we call it as a relationship between the objects and when we call is a relationship between the objects. Either you can say between the objects or between the classes. It is not a problem, right? So first of all, we want to just talk about a small point called as what is called is a relationship and what is called has a relationship. So first, when we call a relationship called is a relationship, I told in the last class. When we call that the relationship is called as is a relationship. In inheritance, you are creating a child class. In inheritance, you are creating a child class, right? So child class extends parent class. So when a child class extends a parent class, what type of relationship is there between them? Is a relationship is there between them. Is a relationship is possible with inheritance. Is a relationship is possible with inheritance. Inheritance. Has a relationship is possible with by creating one class object internally in another class. Has a relationship between the two objects is possible by creating one class object inside another class. By creating one class object inside another class, what type of relationship is possible? Has a relationship is possible. Again, in has a relationship, the relationship can be either strong relationship or it could be the weak relationship. Okay, it could be the strong relationship or it could be the weak relationship. Weak relationship is called aggregation. Strong relationship is called composition. Weak relationship is called aggregation. Strong relationship is called composition. Okay. So we are now going to actually just understand about when we call it as a has a relationship. So this entire concept, whatever I'm trying to explain today, this is totally related to a concept called as a dependency injection. Okay. Dependency injection is one pattern. Dependency injection is one pattern, design pattern actually. So I'll talk about what design pattern later. I don't want to confuse you immediately now today itself. Okay. Just I want to talk about first of all something which is related to is a relationship and has a relationship. First I'm asking a question whether is a relationship is better or has a relationship is better. So there are some core Java concepts I want to rewind you all. I want to rewind some of the core concepts. Okay, some of the core concepts that we are going to discuss in the session today. Okay, first I'm asking a question. There is a relationship called is a and there is a relationship called what? Has a. Okay, is a and has a. Okay, we are talking about is a and has a. So tell me when we call the relationship called is a, when you create a child class by extending parent class, then we are going to call that the relationship is called is a relationship. So I want to add this statement first. When you create okay, when you create a child class by extending a parent class, when you create a child class by extending a parent class, then that relationship is called is a relationship. Okay, right? Is a relationship. When you create a child class by extending a parent class, then that relationship is called is a relationship. For example, I am writing one class called, some class is there with me called product. Product has its variables and methods. I'm not writing the variables and methods. Simply, I'm writing dash dash variables, dash dash methods. It has some variables and it has some methods. Now I'm creating one more class called mobile extends product. And it also contains its own variables and methods. Of course, it inherits the variables and methods from the parent class also. And also it contains own methods and own variables. Now tell me, we can say that what mobile is a product. Am I right or not? Mobile is a product because mobile is a child class, product is a parent class. So what is the relationship between the mobile and product? Is a relationship. We can say what is the statement? Extends means is a. Extends means what? Is a. Now what I can write now? Mobile is a product. Mobile is a product. Are you able to get my point now? Okay, right? Suppose I have created one class called policy. Okay, suppose I have created one class called policy class. Policy. It is a parent class. It is a parent class called policy. Right? Now, I'm creating a child class called health insurance. And I'm also creating one more child class. This is child class. Okay. Next, I'm also creating one more class called vehicle insurance. Vehicle insurance is also what type of class? Child class. Now, what can I say that health insurance is a child class. How do you create this child class called health insurance? Here I am writing public class health insurance extends what? Policy. How do you create a vehicle insurance? How do you create the class called vehicle insurance? Public class vehicle insurance extends what you write? Policy you will write, correct? This is what you are writing now. Now we can say that health insurance is a policy. Vehicle insurance is a policy. Are you able to get my point? Whenever there is a word called extends, how do you read this? Easy. Extends means easy. Health insurance is a policy. Vehicle insurance is a policy. Like that. Whenever extends keyword is there, what you need to read it as? Easy. This relationship is called what type of relationship between them? Easy relationship between the objects or classes. Anything, right? Okay. For example, you are writing one class like this. Public class, your example, car extends vehicle. Then how do you read this? Car is a vehicle. Car is a vehicle. So like this you need to read now. Now this is called what type of relationship? Is a relationship. This is called is a relationship. Car is a vehicle. Like that you are going to read, right? Maybe you are writing a class called public class circle extends shape. Shape is the parent class. Circle is the child class. How do you read it? Circle is a shape. Circle is a shape. Okay, like this you need to read. Am I clear so far? Next, slowly, I'll inject all these concepts to you. Now, there is called is a relationship is done. Whenever you create a child class which extends a parent class, it is called what type of relationship? Is a relationship. Okay, right. So for is a relationship, inheritance is required. What is has a relationship now? Let us understand what is has a relationship. When you create one class object in another class. When you create what? One class object in another class as a data member. As a data member. When you create one class object in another class as a data member, then it is called has a relationship. Then that relationship is called has a relationship. I'll give examples to understand has a relationship. Okay. So when you create one class object in another class as a data member, then that relationship is called what type of relationship here? Has a relationship. So now, for example, Okay. For example, let us understand about, for example, when you create one class object in another class as a data member, then that relationship is called what type of relationship here? Has a relationship. Sure. See, I am writing one example. I am writing example. Example. I have classes like this: public class. Let's say, okay, just I'm creating one class. Okay, public class. Let's say I have a class called user. There is a class called what? User. User is one class. Similarly, I'm writing at the side one more class called public class, public class password encoder. Okay, so there is in this class password encoder, there is a method available called, okay, there is a method available called void encode of a string password. You know already how to create the classes and how to create the methods. Some logic is there inside this method. Two classes I'm writing side by side. One class name is what? User. Another class name is what? Password encoder. Now understand. In this password encoder class, I have a method called what? Encode. Encode. Okay, encode. Similarly, there is another method I have created called decode. Encode and decode. Okay, two methods I am creating called encode and decode. So there are methods I have created like this. Now totally, how many classes are visible to you? Two classes are visible. One class name is user, another class name is password encoder. In the user class, I have variables like this. What are the variables I have with me? String, private string or something. Private string username. Private string username. You don't worry, I will make it correct. Okay, tell me what is a one variable I have? Private string username. Username is one private string username. At the same time, I have another variable called private string password. Private string password. So tell me, user class has how many variables now? Two variables. Who are the two variables of my user class? Okay, one is username and second one is the password. Next, at the same time, in the user class, I am also creating something like this. What I am creating? Password encoder. I am also creating password encoder. So you observe it. There is a class called user. There is a class called what? Password encoder. Totally, how many classes are there here? Two classes are there. Two classes are there. What I am doing here in user class, I am creating password encoder object. In user class, what I am doing? I am creating the password encoder object. Whenever user class object is created, I also want to create which class object? Password encoder class object. So how I can do that? I can write a constructor. What I can define now? Constructor I want to write. You know constructor? Public user of, let's say, okay, string username comma string password. Okay, I will do like this. Just I want to write both the classes side by side instead of writing one after the other. That is what my intention. That's why I'm adjusting the lines. String username, string password. Okay, you don't worry, I will get it back. The two classes we are getting side by side, later I will make a box for it, don't worry. Okay, now you tell me, this is a constructor now. Inside the constructor, what I am writing? This dot username equal to username. Next, what I am writing? This dot password equal to password. This dot password equal to password. This dot password equal to password. Understand here? Now, next I am writing, okay, next I am writing encoder is equal to, next I am writing encoder is equal to, encoder is equal to new password encoder. It is taking more size. Okay, I will keep my code by keeping boxes. You don't worry. I want to keep side by side. I'll decrease the size so that you will get it back into a single page. Don't worry. Done. I'm done. You can observe it. Now, there are two classes with me. There are two classes with me. Now, this is the constructor. This is the constructor. The constructor is completed here. The constructor is completed here. Next, I want to close the class called user. Other methods are there in user. I'm not talking about the other methods. Maybe my class is containing other methods also. There are some other methods available here. Now, this is my class called user. So tell me how many classes that you are able to see at the side by side. Two classes you can see side by side. Who are my two classes that you guys can able to see side by side? One is called user class and next one is called password encoder class. Am I clear with me? Right. Now tell me which class object I am creating in which class? Can you guys tell me? Which class object I am creating in which class in this example? That is my question. Very good. First of all, let me keep for your clarity. I have multiple drawing options. You don't worry. I will make it clear. This is one class. Clear? This is one class. Who is a class here? User. User is one class. Here, there is another class. Who is another class here? Password encoder. Totally, how many classes are there here? Two classes are there. I have a question. Which class object I am creating in which class? Sorry. Which class object I am creating in which class? If you tell, I will circle it. Which class object I am creating in which class? The object of the password encoder class I am creating inside the user class. This is called, see here, where is the statement of creating the object? Here I am creating the reference variable, but in this line I am creating the object. Means you observe the two lines here. This line and this line. Okay, 2 lines you observe here. So basically here, what type of relationship is there between the two classes called user and password encoder? Has a relationship is there. When can you say that it is called has a relationship? If you create one class object inside another class as a data member, then it is called what type of relationship? Has a relationship. Has a relationship. Okay, let me back. Observe here. Just observe it. Just observe it. Suppose I am writing one class. Everybody understand this. I am writing one class. Let's say I have a class called class A. This is one class called class A. Now there is another class B. Two classes are there, class A, class B. If I am creating object of class B inside class A, means how I am creating object? Class B CB equal to new class B. Tell me which class object I am creating inside which class? I am creating class B object inside class A as a data member. Okay. For example, in class A, I have other variables called int x. Other variable int x. Now tell me in class A, how many data members are there? Two data members are there. One data member is x. Another data member is CB. CB. What is stored in CB? CB stores object of class B. CB has object of class B. Am I right or not? So now we call this relationship is what type of relationship between class A and class B? Has A. Which class has what? Class A has class B. This is called what relationship? Has A relationship. Class A has class B. If you do reverse, for example, I am creating class A, CA is equal to new class A. Then which class has what? Class B has object of class A. Am I right or not? Class B has class A. Now we say this relationship is called again what type of relationship? Has a relationship. Very good. In a project, I repeat, in a project, mostly has a relationship will be there. Rarely is a relationship will be there. Mostly, what type of relationship will be there in the projects? Has a relationship will be there mostly. Is a relationship is also there, but very less. Mostly, what type of relationship that we can find in the application development? Has a relationship only, mostly. Not is a relationship, okay? Right. Both can be there in the project, but mostly what type of relationship will be there? Has a relationship only will be there. Is a relationship is also there, but comparatively less. Frequently we can observe has a relationship, but not the is a relationship. Because one class depends on other class. One class depends on another class in the projects. Now, can you tell me which class depends on which class now? Which class depends on which class in this example?
Class A depends on class B.
No.
Class B depended on class A.
Yeah. Class B depends on class A. That's why class B is creating the class A object. Am I right or not? Class B depends on object of class A. It depends on the object of class A. That's why it is creating the class A object inside. Am I right or not? If class A depends on class B, then class A will create what? Class B object. Are you able to get my point now? Understand clearly. Okay. Slowly we are going to get the point now. That is where it is very, very confusing for many people. So I would like to give you good clarity on this. Okay. So you have to understand now which class depends on which class. Tell me, according to this example, which class depends on which class? Class B depends on class A. Right? Class B depends on class A. Because class B wants to invoke some services offered by class A. Previously in my example, I have a class called user. I have a class called password encoder. Okay, there is a class called user, there is a class called password encoder. Are you able to get my point now? Tell me now, which class depends on which class in my example? User is a class which depends on password encoder, because in user class there is a password value, and this user class wants to encode the password value or decode the password value. Encoding and decoding are the services offered by password encoder. That's why user class depends on password encoder. User class depends on password encoder in order to access or in order to call the services of the password encoder, methods of the password encoder. Are you able to get my point now? Right? Try to understand now. So user is a class which depends on password encoder. That's why in user class we need to create object of what? Password encoder. Encoder is equal to new password. And directly you can create, otherwise in the constructor you can create. It's up to you. Are you able to follow me now? Right. Now you tell me, user is a class which depends on what? Password encoder. Not password encoder class depends on user. Don't understand in that way. Okay. Now you tell me, if you are creating class B object inside class A, if you create a class B object inside what? Class A, then tell me who is depending on what? Class A is depending on class B. Here user is a class which depends on password encoder. Password encoder. Are you able to follow my point? Okay, right.
Sir, this has a relation, right?
This has a relation only.
Is a relation is, sir, what then? Is a relation is inheritance, right? From
That's
X.
all completed, na? You joined
Yeah.
later.
I missed that part. Okay.
Okay. Already
I'll
completed.
listen. Okay.
Yeah. Just inheritance is a relationship.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sir, so here we can call it as user has a relationship with password encoder, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Are you getting my point now? Right? Very good.
Yes.
So tell me, this is called what type of relationship now? Let me
relation.
write one more example. Okay, user has a relationship with the password encoder. User has a relationship with the password encoder. This is called what type of relationship? Has a relationship. Let me take another example. Multiple examples we will try. Suppose I have classes like this. Suppose, okay. Okay. First general examples I'm thinking on. Okay. For example, I have a class here. I have a class called Travel. There is a class called what? Travel. Travel is a class. Travel. Next, I have a class called car. Travel is one class. Car is another class. Able to get my point now? Now, inside travel, I'm creating car equals to new car. There are how many classes with me? Two classes are there. One is travel and other one is car. Now you tell me which class depends on which class? Travel is a class which depends on car. We can say that what the relationship now travel has a relationship with the car. Because to travel, definitely car is required. Am I right or not? To travel, what is required? Car is required. Car doesn't require travel. Am I right or not? But the relationship now, car doesn't require travel, but a travel requires car. To travel, car is required. Are able to follow my point? Okay, na? To travel, what is required? Car is required. Which means a travel is a class. Travel has a relationship with which one? Car. This is called what kind of relationship? Has it. When can you say that it is called has a relationship? When you create one class object inside another class as a data member, then we are going to call it as what type of relationship? As a relationship. As a relationship. Very good. Coming to the point.
Sir, one thing to ask, can there be multiple has a relationship in a class?
Yeah, multiple. Why not? Sure. I'll write. Wait. Are you able to follow me now? First of all, am I clear with this point, everybody? Very good. Next,
Yes.
try to understand. Suppose I have a class called big name I'm using notification manager class is there. What's the class name? Notification manager is one class. Okay, there are classes called class email notification service. Big names, okay. Email notification is one class. Similarly, one more class is there called SMS notification. Are you able to follow me? Now, this notification manager has variables called private, string, email ID, private, long, mobile number. Okay. Now, to this email ID, this notification manager wants to send what type of notification? Email notification. To this mobile number, this notification manager wants to send what type of notification? SMS notification, which means notification manager depends on what and what objects? Email notification object and SMS notification object. So I am going to notification manager. I'm creating what? Email notification. Email is equal to new email notification. Next, SMS notification. SMS is equal to new SMS notification. Now you guys understood now. Notification manager is a class which has a relationship with how many objects? Two objects. What and what? Email notification object and SMS notification object. Means what? One object can has a relationship with multiple objects also. Has a relationship with multiple. But what about is a relationship? What about is a relationship? One object can have is a relationship with one object, because at the time when you are knowing about inheritance, multiple inheritance is not supported at classes level directly. Yes, one class can extend how many base classes are parent classes? One parent class only. It cannot extend multiple parent classes. Did you guys understood now? Right. So tell me, one object can have has a relationship with how many objects? Multiple objects. One object can have is a relationship with how many objects? Only one object. Okay, right? So in a project, what and what type of relationship you can find out? Is a relationship you can find out, as at the same time as a relationship also you can find out. Okay, first of all, let me write some points, then I'm going to talk about the actual concept.
Sir, in the project, we also have is a relation lot, right?
Both are
We
there.
have to
Is
use.
a, has a, both will be there, but mostly has a relationship you can find out.
Okay. We have to use our creation using has a relation. You mean to say. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Thank
So, yeah, good. So now, first of all, I want to add a statement for this. Now tell me, in this, which class has a relationship with which class here? User class has a relationship with nothing but user object has a relationship with password encoder object, like that we use. In object terms we can say, or class terms we can say, both are correct. Here, user object has a relationship with password encoder object. Okay, now one object can have has a relationship with multiple objects also. With multiple objects also. One object can have has a relation one object can have has a relationship with what? Multiple objects also. Example, same example I am writing. Example, I have a class called email notification. Okay, some methods are there. I'm not talking about variables and methods. This is one class. This is one class. Class name is email notification. For example, I'm also writing one more class called SMS notification. Then I'm writing another class called public class notification manager. Okay, here, what are my variables? Private string email ID, private long mobile number. Correct? Mobile means mobile number. Next, I'm creating what? Email notification. Email notification. Email is equal to new email notification. Otherwise, you can write in constructor. You don't worry. It's your wish now whether you want to create object directly at the time of declaring the variable, or inside the constructor also you can create the object. Am I right or not? Whenever notification manager object is created, I want to create email notification object. Then you write inside the constructor. Right? SMS notification. SMS is equal to what I am writing new SMS notification.
Sir, you mean
Some
to
other
say
methods.
construction of notification, right?
Sorry.
You mean to say constructor of notification we create, inside that we create
No,
email note.
a constructor of notification manager. Inside the constructor of this class, also you can initialize the variables, email and SMS.
Okay, so I create a constructor of notification manager. Inside that, I use
You
new
write these
command
two
to
lines. You need
two
to write
lines
this
also.
line and this line.
Okay, got it, sir.
Okay, like that also you can create. Okay, other method. Something, leave it. Okay, I'm not
Sir,
writing complete code, that's why I'm writing.
So this is a best practice to initialize the variables in this constructor.
Generally to initialize variables, we use constructor, right?
Right.
So the best practice always to initialize variables is with constructor only.
Okay.
With the constructor only. The best practice is always to initialize with constructor only, not with direct initialization at the time of declare. This is called what? You are declaring the variable and also you are initializing it at the same time. Okay, right. If it is a static variable, then this is the best practice. If it is a non-static variable, then in constructor is the best practice. Right?
Sir.
Come to the
Yes.
point. Yeah. Come to the point. Now, coming to the point. Here in this case now, notification manager has a relationship with how many objects? 2 objects. So just I'm writing here. Notification manager object has a relationship with notification manager object has a relationship with what and what objects? Email notification and SMS notification objects. Am I clear? Sometimes one object can has a relationship with the same object type multiple times also. Sometimes one object can has a relationship with multiple objects of same type. Right? I'll tell you an example. That's why examples are required. Are you able to get my point? Okay, good. What is my statement? Sometimes one object can has a relationship with multiple objects of same type. Here multiple objects of same type or different type? Different type. One type is email notification. Another type is SMS notification. See, I have a class called employee. Employee is a class I have with me. Employee. I have another class called address. There are 2 classes with me. Who are the 2 classes? Employee and address. Suppose I'm creating, we know that employee has address. What is the statement? Employee is a address. Employee has address. Employee, don't write class employee extends address. For example, if you write class employee extends address, what is the relationship? Employee is a address. But that's a wrong statement according to English also, right? Right, good. So what, employee is a address or employee has address? Has address. One employee can have multiple addresses also. Why don't have? Okay, there is a temporary address staying in Hyderabad, permanent address, our own city or town or village address. So tell me, in employee class, I'm creating what? Address address, current address. Address current is equal to new address. Again, I'm creating what? Address permanent is equal to new address. Am I clear with this? Tell me now. Employee has a relationship with what? Employee has a relationship with address, but with one object or two objects? Two objects. Here, employee object has a relationship with the two objects of same type. You do not understood my statement, whatever previously I delivered? Because one employee can have permanent address and current address. When you are filling the forms also, you are getting current address, permanent address, you have to fill like that. Am I right or not? Very good. So try to understand the point now. Which means what I am trying to explain now, one object can have a relationship with multiple objects of same type also. Maybe sometimes you will get it, but it is possible or not is my question. Possible or not? Yes, possible. What is possible? One object can have has a relationship with multiple objects of same type. Multiple objects of same type. Are you able to follow me? Right. Good. Now, let's start working on. Suppose, first I want to talk about simple terms. Now tell me, in a project, we can find what and what type of relationships? Is a relationship and as a. But mostly what type of relationship we can find? As a relationship only we are going to find it. In our applications, in further classes, when you are working the Spring Boot, when you are working with the Spring Boot in further classes, we are going to create our classes like this. For example, I am creating a class called public class employee controller. Inside this, I am creating employee service. Employee service, semicolon. Next, here I am creating a class called public class employee service. Again, inside employee service, I am also creating object of employee repository or employee DAO. Repo. Something like that. Next, we are creating another class called public class employee repository. Are you able to get my point, right? Employee repository. Again, inside the employee repository, for example, I am creating something called template. Any something like that. Okay. For example, JDBC template. Like this, you are going to see the applications. For example, then you observe now. Tell me, employee controller has a relationship with employee service. Employee service is again a class which has a relationship with employee repository. Employee repository is a class which has a relationship with JDBC template class. Are you able to follow me? Like this, multiple times you are going to find what type of relationship? As a relationship. In our Spring, we are going to develop this type of applications in further in Spring Boot. Are you able to get my point? That's why basics must be very, very strong. To learn anything, basics are important. That's why I always recommend the person who knows about core Java very clearly, perfectly, this guy can learn anything in this IT industry. Anything that guy can learn. Whether you want to learn Spring framework now, any other framework now, any tool of Java, he can easily understand. When? If we have very strong enough knowledge in core Java. That's why core Java is going to decide our technology journey. This is all core Java concept only. Is a relationship, has a relationship, class, variable, constructor, all these things, sector method, getter method. Next, we are going to see that all these are coming from core Java. నేను అప్పుడు చెప్పిన విన్నారా మీరు చక్కగా నేర్చుకొని రోజు రండి అంటే వచ్చిండ్రా రారు ఓకే let's come to the point guys. Okay, let's go back, try to understand now. Yeah that is also possible. You can mix. You can mix both the relationships also. What and what relationships? Is a relationship and has a relationship. Both we can mix both of them also. That is not a problem. We can mix both of them. Yes. Now coming to the point here. Now let's go ahead. There are something to understand here. Now actual terminology I want to introduce now. This is all good. So far, am I clear with you? Online folks, first give me a reply in the chat box so that I want to move ahead to tell you about the two terms called a dependent class and dependency class. Okay, make it fast, guys. Okay, make it fast.
Clear to me, sir.
Thanks. So just can you guys could you guys give me a reply in the chat box? Okay. Yes, good. Thanks. Now let's move on. Okay. Look at this now. See, terminology I want to talk now. Terminology is very important. Then I'll talk about what is loose coupling between objects, what is called tightly coupled objects. So what is called dependency, injection, sector, constructor, all these things I'm going to introduce now. Okay, all these things I'm going to introduce to you now. Okay, so let's start. See, for example, you have created one class. Let's say simple text. I want to take only simple class name. Now class A. Okay, class B. Let's start our names with A and B. In programming, we'll go to different examples, don't worry. But class A, class B, two classes are there with me. There is a class called class A and also there is a class called class B. Understand clearly? Class A, class B. Try to understand everybody. Now suppose in class A, I want to create object of class B. I am creating class B object. Now you tell me, we say that class A has a relationship with class B. A object of A has a relationship with object of B. Very good. Coming to the point now. Now, remember, now this class A are the object of class A, either class or its object, anyone. This class A is called dependent class. This class A is called what class? Dependent class. This class B is called its dependency class. ఇవి రెండు అర్థం కాక జనాలంతా పిచ్చోళ్ళు అవుతున్నారు. ఏది డిపెండెంట్, ఏది డిపెండెన్సీ. ఓకే, ఇన్ లెర్నింగ్ స్ప్రింగ్ పీపుల్ ఆర్ getting mad because of there is no proper understanding on dependent class and dependency class. Okay, so try to understand me now. Okay, so dependent class, dependency class, both you need to understand. Okay, who is called a dependent class, who is called dependency class, that is important. Suppose if class A has a relationship with class B, then tell me class A is called which class? And class B is its dependency class. Class B is dependency class. Are you able to get my point now? We can say that class A has class B as a dependency. Class A has class B as a dependency. Suppose I am creating object of class C also inside class A. Now we can say that what? B and C are dependencies of class A. B and C are dependencies of class A. They are dependencies. They are dependencies of class A. Means class A depends on class B and class C. That's why B and C are called dependencies. Dependencies of class A. So class A is the dependent class and class B is the dependency class. Am I clear with this now? So first two terms you have to understand now. Which terms? Who is the dependent class and who is the dependency class? Very good. Now again, try to understand. I'll give different examples. Don't worry. Suppose I have a class like this. Class, let's say, there is a class called class. Okay. Payment processor. There is a class called what? Payment processor. There is another class called payment service. There is a class called payment service. There is a class called payment processor. Now, payment processor depends on payment service. So, payment service is equal to new payment service. Now, did you guys understood now? Everybody, tell me, payment processor has a dependency called payment service. Now tell me, payment processor is called which class? Which is called which class? Dependent class. Now this dependent class has a dependency called what? Payment service. Because it has a relationship now. Whenever an object has a relationship with another object, that other object is going to become what? It's a dependency object. It's a dependency object. Tell me, who is the dependency object of payment processor? Payment service. Now we say payment service is called which class? Dependency class. But this payment processor is called which class? Dependent class. Is called which class? Dependent class. Understand dependent class and dependency class. Okay, this is dependent class. To easily understand, we call target class. Which class? Target class. Target class. Okay, but actually dependent class is a better word. For me, it is convenient. Dependent class. I don't call target class. I call it as dependent class. Let me have. Understand the point clearly. Okay. Now I took controller this. There is class called payment controller. There is a class called what? Payment controller. There is a class called payment service. There is a class called payment service. There is a class called payment controller. There is a class called payment service. There is a class called payment DAO. DAO stands for data access object. It is one of the design patterns. DAO. Okay, leave about that. So tell me, currently, three classes are there side by side. I have written payment controller, payment service, payment DAO. Now I am creating in the payment controller, I am creating object of which class? Payment service. Because the payment controller depends on another object called payment service. It depends on payment service object. Nothing but payment controller object has a relationship with payment service. So payment service, PS is equal to new payment service. This terminology need to be understood first. Now you tell me, who is called a dependent class and who is called dependency class? Payment controller is called a dependent class. Its dependency class is payment service, dependency class. Clear na? Up to this? Next. Payment service object has a relationship with the payment DAO, which means payment service object should have has a relationship with what? Payment DAO. So means I'm creating payment DAO class object inside payment service. DAO is equal to new payment DAO. You tell me now, in this scenario, who is a dependent class? Payment service is the dependent class, dependent class, and payment DAO is the dependency class. Between payment controller and payment service, who is dependent and who is dependency? Payment controller is a dependent object and it depends on payment service object. So it is its dependency object. Able to follow me? In the remaining two services, two classes, in this scenario, who is dependent and who is dependency? Payment service object is the dependent object. It depends on payment DAO. So it's dependency. Payment DAO is its dependency object, which means sometimes a dependent class also is going to become dependency. Dependency class also becomes dependent class. That depends. So finally, what word many times we are going to get in Spring? Dependency, depends, dependency, dependency, dependent, dependency, dependence. That's why you should have clarity on this. Then we don't have any confusion later. Is it clear for you now? Right. So try to understand now. So what are the two terms what are the two things that you guys got the knowledge now? Which class is called a dependent class and which class is called a dependency class? Dependent class, dependency class words will come in is a relationship or in has a relationship? As a relationship. In is a relationship, we don't get the dependent class and dependency class, but we get the words called child class and parent class. Child class, parent class are the terms in is a relationship. Dependent class and dependency class are the terms in as a relationship. That's what you need to understand. Are you able to follow me now? Right. Very good. Now, I want to add the 1-2 statements on this. Guys, in online, am I clear? Otherwise, you will get confusion. Otherwise, you will get confusion, guys. Online people, are you clear with the two words called dependent class and dependency class?
Yes, sir.
Who is dependent class and who is dependency class? Is a question, right? What's the answer for this? Who is a dependent class and who is dependency class? What is the answer now? If you create, okay, otherwise, suppose we have two classes. Suppose we have two classes called A and B. Am I clear, guys? Suppose we have two classes called what and what? A and B. Suppose we have two classes called A and B. And if you create which class object? If you create class B object inside what? Class A. If you create class B object inside class A as a data member or whatever, okay, inside class A, then class A is called the dependent class. Class A is called the dependent class and class B is called the dependency class. Okay, class A, let's say two classes are there, public class A, public class B. Here, what I am creating now? Object of class B. B equals to new B. Are you able to follow me now? Of course, this is a class B. Inside class B, there are methods. We don't worry on that. There are some methods in variables. Methods are there in class B. Okay. Now tell me, class A is called which class here? Class A is the dependent class. Class B is the dependency class, because you are creating object of class B in class A, which is nothing but what class A is depending on class B. So class A is a dependent class and class B is its dependency class. It's a dependency class. That terminology you should not miss. The terminology you should not miss. Next, we create. Just one more sample I'm writing. Suppose we have two classes called, I'm only taking two classes, payment controller and payment service. Oh, what happened? Just a minute. Suppose we have two classes called what and what? Payment controller and payment service. And if you create class payments or payment service class object in payment service class object in inside the payment controller class. Inside the payment controller class. Then who is called dependent class? Payment controller class is called payment controller class is called dependent class, and payment service class is the is called the dependency class. Dependency class. Am I clear with this point now? Everyone, right? So payment controller class is the dependent class and payment service class is the dependency class. Okay. Example, we are writing simply. One class name is payment controller. Another class name is payment service. And here okay, and here inside I'm creating what? Payment service. Service is equal to new payment service. Okay. So today you learned, okay, there are some methods inside this class. Okay. We are not worrying on those methods of this class. Okay, right? Now, so today you got up to this. What you got today is a relationship and as a relationship. And also we understood about who is called a dependent class and who is called dependency class. These are the things that you have learned in the session for today. These are all the things I have explained in the today's session, right? Okay. Next, what you got the terminology, what? Dependent class and you got the terminology called what and what? Dependent class and dependency class. These are terminology that you got for today. Next, I will tell you. Next, what we need to discuss, what is called tightly coupled objects. What is called? Tightly coupled objects. Next, what is called? Loosely coupled objects. What is called tightly coupled objects and what is called? Loosely coupled objects. And when you are understanding about loosely coupled objects, then we are going to discuss about dependency injection. What injection? Dependency injection. And at that time, I'm also going to talk about constructor injection and the setter injection. What and what injections? Constructor injection and the setter injections. These things I'm going to talk. You should know dependency injection very well. What is dependency injection? In that, what is constructor injection? What is a setter injection? All these things, okay, you can say. Dependency class is also called independent class is wrong answer. Because I have given example already. May not be always.
Sir, hello, sir.
Yeah.
Can
Yeah,
I
yeah.
create three classes, A, B, C? Uh, into A class, I created both objects B and C.
Hmm.
What is dependent?
Yeah,
Dependent
A is
in
a
A.
dependent class, B and C are dependencies.
Both are dependencies
Nah,
class.
both are dependencies only. Nah?
Yeah, that's
Yeah. Did you guess? Okay, remaining. Did you guys understood my point now? Right? Okay, cool. Just wait for a minute. I'll confirm whether we have class tomorrow or not. Just a minute. Yeah. We'll continue. We'll continue tomorrow. Folks, we have the class, we have the session tomorrow. We'll continue tomorrow. Okay. Thank you.